Welcome back to MMA Al Dente. I am the guy who picked Vitor Belfort to defeat Lyoto Machida. Yeah, he's got pretty good kicks, and I do think he gets the better of Vitor at kicking range. But how's he going to stay in kicking range when Vitor's hands are twice as fast as his? You ever thought of that? You jerk off? No, you haven't. All right. I am here to break down UFC 321 Aspinall versus Gane. This is an awesome event, an awesome card, and there's no way it's not going to turn out to be an awesome event. And that's why I've already taken off of work. That's right, NASA gave me the day off. Let's get into it. All right, opening up this video, but probably not the card, is Quillan killed taking on Nasrat Hakparast. My prediction here is Nasrat wins. I'm going to go with him winning by decision. I don't know the odds for this fight. There are no odds. This fight was booked less than a week ago, just a few days ago. But without giving it much thought and just knowing that both guys signed a contract to fight for 15 minutes on Saturday, I'm going to assume they're both ready to go 15 minutes, and I'm just going to favor Nasrat. I think Nasrat has good takedown defense and really sharp hands, and I think he's going to be able to show Quillan Salkill that next level. Quillan's looked great so far throughout his whole career. He was submitted in his professional debut, but since then it's been 9 fights straight where he's won, and he's fought some good competition as of late and won solid decisions over Yanal Ashmouz and Gage Young, both of whom gave him a good test. But Yanal Ashmouz did outlast Quillan Salkill. He was distinctly outlasted, in my opinion. He was a force in rounds 1 and 2, and then he was no longer a force in round 3. And he wasn't able to control Yanal by and large, and Yanal took it to him and took the round. Not that that's the biggest stain on his record, because he still beat Yanal Ashmouz, which is a great win. And Nasrat Hakparast, even though his record is a lot deeper, he's not won every round 3 that he's had. But he is still got a guy that I trust in general. He's a 15-minute fighter. He's scratch and clawed for victories over Esteban Ribovics and Jared Gordon, both of whom gave him a very tough round 3, I believe. But he's been there. He's done that. He's fought at a very high level. And here I just think Nasrat, he's only lost to really good fighters, and he's going to next level Quillan Salkill. Quillan, he's really good everywhere, but I think he's going to run into trouble if he's not able to control Nasrat. Nasrat's got really solid takedown defense. And on the feet, even though Quillan's big and tall and long, Nasrat is just sharper. He's always had really sharp hands, and I think that's going to be the story of the fight on the feet. Quillan, I think his primary path to victory, the primary outcome for him is decision. Nasrat's been submitted and knocked out before, but I think it's far and away decision. And for Nasrat, I wouldn't be surprised if he got a late TKO, but I'd have to go with decision first for him as well. So, of course, the over, the point spread, I'll wait for everything. But gun to my head with no odds in front of me, I've got Nasrat Hakparast winning this fight. Takedown defense, 15-minute comfortability, is that a word? At the UFC level and all that other horse shit. Next up, we have Jacqueline Amorim taking on a returning Mizuki Inoue. My prediction here is Amorim wins, and I've got her winning by submission in round 1. No one's been able to finish Mizuki Inoue. She's only ever lost to really good fighters, and she's only ever lost by decision, aside from this one bullshit disqualification, which was really a 3rd-round armbar victory for her. And she made good on that by winning via 3rd-round armbar in the rematch anyway. But I just can't trust Inoue. She's got experience and she's got some advantages on paper, I guess. But Jacqueline Amorim really has all the upside here. Even though Mizuki Inoue is smack dab in the middle of her prime at 31 years old, she's only had one fight in the last 5 years. It was a win, but it was a decision win over Hannah Goldie. And I believe that was Hannah's last fight in the UFC. She made it to the UFC. That's awesome. But she wasn't the highest level UFC fighter. So just on paper, I can't really trust Mizuki Inoue. But forget about on paper. In the octagon, I've got Amorim being too much for her. I think she's too strong, too fast. She's better physically, athletically, and technically. And I think she's going to be able to go through her where no one else has before. And of course, if I'm wrong, I think Amorim wins by a dominant decision. I think she would win a dominant decision over Mizuki Inoue. Believe me, I've considered the Sam Hughes fight. Sam Hughes, who's one of my favorite, probably my favorite female fighter. She was able to outgrind Jacqueline Amorim and outlast her. And Mizuki Inoue, just with her experience and durability on paper, just looking at her record, you can tell she's capable of doing that, next leveling Jacqueline Amorim. But I just think Amorim is going to be too tough for her. Amorim, I think, of course, has tried to rectify that loss to Sam Hughes. I'm sure she'll fight smarter if she's finding herself in a spot where she's not able to secure the finish. And I think she's just going to be dominant on the ground. I think, kind of like Virna Jandidroba was when she fought Mizuki Inoue. That's one of Mizuki's losses. No shame in losing to Virna or Amanda Lemos or anybody else that's beaten Inoue. But Virna, who wasn't able to submit Inoue, she smashed her fucking face shut and she nearly broke her arm and she put her in some really tough spots, but she wasn't able to finish her. And she's potentially the next champion of the world. Tune in. But I still think Jacqueline Amorim has so much upside. She's a young, 20-something-year-old fighter, incredibly sharp athlete, really fast, and potently dangerous. Perhaps in a way that even Virna Jandidroba is not on the ground. And I've got Amorim being too much for her. Amorim is minus 440. I'll look to shave that down. I'll look for finish props, but certainly I'll look for her minus point spread. Because again, even if Inoue does survive, like she's done in every other loss, I envision dominance from Amorim. Potentially 10-8 rounds, but a lot of control. And on the Mizuki Inoue side, like I said, there's a chance she Sam Hughes her. She's coming back at plus 340 on the other side. I'll wait for the props and maybe I'll go reaching for sprinkles. You never know. It does happen. But I've got Amorim going through her in a way that no one has before. Next up, we have Mitch Raposo taking on Azat Maksum. My prediction for this fight is Azat Maksum wins, and I'm going to go with him winning by submission in round 2. And I can't be too confident in that specific method of victory, but I do certainly favor Azat Maksum. I think he's going to be too much for Mitch Raposo. I think if he gets him tired and gets on top of him, he could prove to be a very bad matchup for him and get him out of there for the first time since Jake Hadley. But I still think if anybody's winning the decision, it's certainly Azat Maksum. Both guys are coming off of 2 consecutive losses, 2 consecutive decision losses. Mitch Raposo, he lost by split decision to Suma Derji and Andre Lima. Not really a great split decision there. It was a clean loss. But yeah, those are 2 really good fighters, but they're not on the level of the 2 guys that have beaten Azat Maksum. He lost to Charles Johnson and Tagir Ulanbekov. I feel like everybody's kind of on Charles Johnson's level. He can beat the champion, but lose to a debutante. Such a faggy word. Excuse my language. But I do think that the record is prettier for Azat Maksum, and I also think, even though his decisions are unanimous, he still gave them one hell of a fight, each guy. And Tagir Ulanbekov, a few months ago, that fight, I thought it was really close. I thought Tagir won, but I also think really highly of Tagir Ulanbekov. So Azat, I just put him at a higher level than Mitch Raposo. I think he's going to be too much on the feet and on the ground, shutting down wrestling defensively, turning it up offensively, and if my horseshit prediction is right, he closes the show and gets a finish. Mitch Raposo is plus 260, and Azat Maksum is minus 325. I'll wait for the point spread, see if I can play him at minus points or whatever. Covers the finish and the decision and the disqualification and all that other horseshit. Okay, next up we have Hamdy Abdelwahab taking on Chris Huggy Bear Barnett. And he will always be Huggy Bear to me. And as much as I'd love to hug him, I got to go with Hamdy Abdelwahab. I'm going to go with him winning by decision. I can't trust either my prediction or the method of victory. In general, I'm probably just staying away from this altogether. No bets. But I think Hamdy does win. I think Chris Barnett is going to have a short window of some speed and athleticism. I think it wears off, and the slow but steady Hamdy Abdelwahab, he's going to be too strong to bulldoze and to move around. And I think he's just going to be the guy landing the better, cleaner shots down the stretch. Chris has some flashy shit. He's much more reliant on athleticism, and that can produce big moments. And look, Hamdy doesn't have the deepest record, the longest record. He's got a 6-1 record. So there could be surprises here. But Hamdy, there's no real reason to doubt him. I mean, he's not the most imposing guy, even in victory, but his one defeat comes to Muhammad Usman, who might be underrated. I don't know. Still trying to sort that out. But either way, it was a close enough fight, but I do think he was neutralized. And here I've got him kind of neutralizing Chris in the same way, where he's fighting a stronger guy, a heavier hitter, punch for punch, I think. And I think Chris gets a little more uncomfortable down the stretch, and Hamdy is a little cleaner. Did I just say that? He's been in some sloppy fucking wars. And yeah, that's a thing. I can't trust this fight at all. I don't trust anything about it. That's why I'm not betting on it. But despite him having a fraction of the record and resume that Chris Barnett has, I still just put my faith a little more in Hamdy Abdelwahab. He doesn't have the longest record, but he's got a deep enough resume. He's been in the UFC for half of his MMA career already, even though it's only been a few fights. But yeah, I think he should be a little too much for Chris Huggy Bear Barnett. Hamdy is the pick. I got him winning by decision, and nobody is the bet. And if that's available, I'm going to bet on that. I'm going with nobody. Next up, we have Nathaniel Wood taking on Jose Delgado. My prediction here is Nathaniel Wood wins, and I'm going to go with him winning by decision. And I've gone back and forth on this, and the other end of it is Jose Delgado by knockout in round 1. Because this guy looks phenomenal. He's got a record of 10-1, 10 stoppages, 6 by knockout, 4 by submission. But as of late, the last half of his record has been knockouts. And he's looked great into his UFC career. Really surprised me by catching Hyder Emil cold in seconds. And yeah, there's a ton of upside with him. But as Kaiser Soze said in The Usual Suspects, how do you shoot at the devil in the back? What if you miss? What if he misses? Then he's going to be in there with Nathaniel Wood. And Nathaniel Wood is a guy who just ground down Morgan Charrier. And he's ground down Charles Jourdain, who fucking looked awesome last night. And Andre Fili and all these proven fighters. He's been beaten. He's been finished as well. He was knocked out by John Dodson, was submitted a few times. And yeah, he's lost decisions. But he's still been fighting at a higher level and in general, kicking ass and taking names. And Jose Delgado, he's got proven danger. He's as proven as a one-round fighter can get. But Nathaniel Wood is proven in another way. And he's got a deeper record and all that other horse shit, just like I said about Mizuki and Noe and whoever else. But here, I think it's going to haunt Jose Delgado. I don't think Jose Delgado is going to be able to maintain his athleticism and his striking advantage early in round one. I don't think he's going to be able to maintain that down the stretch. And he's got substantial height and reach over Nathaniel Wood and danger altogether. But Nathaniel Wood can handle himself everywhere. He's really sharp on the feet and he can mix it up on the ground as well. And I think he's going to do that to Jose Delgado. Jose's got one loss, and it was to a wrestler, Chris McCate. But still, he's looked incredibly pretty since then. There's a ton of upside, and it's not like Nathaniel Wood is Mr. Pure Wrestler, but I think he's been fighting at the highest level for a long, long time. He's in his prime, and I think he's going to be too much for Jose Delgado. I have bet on Nathaniel Wood because he's an underdog, but I will wait for everything to see what to bet on. I think if Nathaniel Wood wins, it's certainly over a round and a half. I think he wins in the second half of the fight if it's by finish. And I certainly think he wins by decision first and foremost. And for Jose Delgado, maybe it's worth playing a proper. So Nathaniel Wood's pretty tough, but he's been hurt and he has been finished. And the upside is just there with Jose Delgado in addition to every physical fucking trait in every fucking direction. But yeah, gun to my head, I'm going Nathaniel Wood. The veteran gets it done. Next up, we have Louis Sutherland taking on Walter Walker. This is a makeshift fight, as both guys had shit fall through recently. I already forget who they were fighting, but I'm just going to assume they're in tip-top shape, which I know is not 100% true, but it's close enough. My prediction here is Walter Walker wins, and this time I am going to go with him winning by heel hook, his fourth consecutive heel hook. I think he's going for it. His nickname here in front of me on SureDog is the Foot Hunter. I don't know when that came about, but I don't remember it being a thing. But he certainly earned it, so I'm not complaining. And here, even though he's fighting an unknown Kamali Louis Sutherland, he's a guy that I broke down a few weeks ago, but he's still making his debut here. I think Walter Walker is going to hit him with something known, and I think he's going to get it. I think Walter Walker is going to be a little too quick for Louis, and I think Walter Walker is going to be too dangerous in a way that he's not accustomed to. That's a big problem. I mean, you can tell from just following jiu-jitsu over the last few years. The leg locks have taken over the game, and Walter Walker has shown heavyweights that it's a thing. Maybe not with everybody, but with him. And I think it's going to get Louis Sutherland. If I'm wrong, I still pick Walter Walker to win, though. He's been able to grind his way through some grimy fights and win fights down the stretch. But he's a sloppy guy. He doesn't really have my trust. I was picking Muhammad Usman to beat him. And I think I picked Lucas Dreshki to beat him way back when he made his debut as well. But Walter Walker, he's never been finished. That is his only loss to Dreshki. And it was a close enough fight. And I do think with all he's done before and after that fight, especially after with the heel hooks, he's going to be too much for Louis Sutherland. Louis Sutherland's never been finished himself. He's got 3 tough losses. They're all by decision. And his wins are mostly TKOs, as you might imagine, because he's a big fucking gorilla, a big bear. But I think he's a gorilla. His nickname is the Vanilla Gorilla, like Chase Sherman. But yeah, I've got the Vanilla Gorilla being a problem for a short period of time before he gets beaten by the foot. What the fuck was his name again? The Foot Taker, the Foot Hunter, whatever. But yeah, Walter Walker, he's been a grimy guy when he's needed to. He's survived everything. He's gotten knockouts even down the stretch. And he's gotten 3 heel hooks in a row against good competition. So I got Walter Walker winning this fight. Next up, we have Ikram Aliskerov versus Junyong Park. My prediction here is Aliskerov wins. And I'm going to go with him winning by decision, even though a late submission wouldn't surprise me. Although it would surprise me if it wasn't a Kimura. But what I'd love to see is Junyoung Park win. I'm an Iron Turtle guy, and I do think if he does win, it's by knockout. Historically, that's the way to beat Ikram Aliskerov, even if his two losses are to two of the best fighters in the world today, Hamzat with that big uppercut, and Robert Whitaker with that round one destruction, 1 minute destruction. And Junyoung Park, even though he doesn't have the most dangerous look on paper, he is much more dangerous than his record would indicate. I mean, I've seen the guy fight enough. He can crack, and he can definitely crack that chin. And I'm assuming that's plan A for him. It's not always plan A for him, but I think here he'd have a tough time trying to go through Aliskerov on the ground or even get him to the ground in the first place. But I also think just, if I was part of his team and I was his coach, that'd be the strategy I'd be devising, going after Ikram Aliskerov's chin. And I think there he's going to give himself a good shot, but I don't think he's going to be able to catch Ikram. I think Ikram's going to be a little more comfortable, a little faster at range. And I think Junyoung Park is going to be forcing things to try to create some action. I've got Ikram keeping himself safe, hitting Junyoung Park with the better shots and taking him to the ground. I think if anybody gets a takedown, it's Ikram. And like I said, he's got a mean fucking Kimura. He could get him out of there. Junyoung Park's been submitted, even if it's by very, very good fighters and dangerous guys. But Ikram Aliskerov is that. But that's not my prediction. My prediction is he wins a decision. And as for betting on him, I have not done that yet. He's just not worth it. But I'm going to sit back and wait and see if there's a play to make. Next up, we have Abdul Karim Al-Sewady taking on Mateus Camilo. My prediction here is Camilo wins, and I'm going to go with him winning by knockout in round one. And I have zero confidence in that prediction. I'm just going with Camilo because I don't trust the chin of Al-Sewady. I said that before he fought Loic Rajabov, and he was more than halfway to a decision victory in that fight, but his chin still hit the surface in round three, and that was the end of the fight. And Camilo, he is not the most proven guy, and he's been submitted in his three losses. So he's got his own problem to worry about on his side of things. But I think that's a hole that's much less likely to be filled in by Karim Al-Sewady, even though he's got a much deeper resume. But I still don't think he's the grappler that Gabe Green is. I picked Gabe Green to go through Camilo on the ground. And I think on the feet, Camilo is going to be comfortable. He's going to be comfortable like he typically is. I think he's going to be technically sharper than Abdul Karim Al-Sewady, and I think he's also going to be more dangerous. And look, on the ground, Camilo can handle himself as well. I mean, he's been beaten 3 times, but he's shown skills there as well when he's needed to. Got a nice third round triangle choke a few fights ago. But he is just not trustworthy there. I'm not saying he's bad on the ground. I'm saying it's responsible for his 3 losses, and it's how I'd pick his next few losses to look. But again, Abdul Karim Al-Sewady, he is not that type of guy. He's not that type of fighter. He's a force on the feet. I mean, I know he's training at fucking Fortis MMA. He knows the ground game with 20 fights as well. But he's going to be on the feet where he's most vulnerable. And I don't think he's going to be able to make shit happen against Camilo. And I've got that chin sitting there coming to haunt him. And I've got Camilo winning by knockout. These odds are really close. It's pretty much a toss-up. Camilo's the slightest of underdogs at minus 105. And I'm not betting on this. Not the money line anyway. Maybe I'd look into the under or the props. But in general, I don't have trust in either guy here. But the pick, again, is Camilo. And opening up the main card, we have Alexander Rakic taking on Azat Murzakonov, who is finally leveling up here and leveling up in a big way. I've got Murzakonov winning. I'm going to go with him winning by TKO in round 3. But I do think this is a close fight. And of course, where I'm harping on UFC levels in other matchups, I'm going the other way in this one. But I'm aware Alexander Rakic has been there and done that in a way that Murzakonov has not. Murzakonov, I'm just glad he's done fighting the Brenison Hibieros of the world. Although if he loses this fight, he's probably going to have a rematch with Brenison. But he is 36 years old, Murzakonov. He's got to put his foot on the gas. He knows that. I think he expressed that a few months ago after that last victory. And he's getting right back in there and back in a big way. This isn't any more of this year and a half layoff and then come back and fight Elvis Sinisic. No, he's in there fighting one of the best light heavyweights of the last 5 years, 7 years. I don't know. But Rakic, despite having 3 losses in his last 3 fights, he is still one of the best fighters in the world. He lost to Magomed Ankalaev in his last one, gave him a good battle, and in my opinion, it was a winnable fight, but tactically, he just wasn't there, and he lost after a good start. And before that, he was knocked out for the only time against Yuri Prohashka, who's the most dangerous man on earth. So there's a little forgiveness there. And before that, he was technically finished against Jan Blachowicz, but it was a knee injury. Doesn't count, and that was a very even fight. And here I think Rakic is going to be a great match for Murzakonov. But I think Murzakonov is going to rough him up. I think he's a little more dangerous. His hands are better. And I think he's going to be crowding those kicks of Alexander Rakic. Murzakonov, he hasn't lost yet. The closest he's come was against Tafon and Chukwi, who was beating him up with body kicks. But Murzakonov stood in there, stood his ground, and in round 3, when he needed to, when his back was against the wall, he knocked Tafon dead with a flying knee, showing he's still got that fucking danger in round 3, which he's shown on other occasions as well. But yeah, I think the danger is going to be the difference. And to be honest, if this fight goes the distance, even though I was just talking about leg kicks and small moments and all that on the side of Rakic, I still got Murzakonov winning if it goes the distance. Again, I think he's crowding Rakic. I think he's going to have the bigger moments, whatever there are, and also the better punches. So I'm going with Murzakonov here. I'm defying the UFC levels horse shit and the experience horse shit and all that. The fight is even. The odds are even. I have bet on Murzakonov, who is now sitting at minus 120. Still a toss-up. And yeah, I've got him winning. Next up, we have Alexander Volkov versus Jailton Almeida. My prediction here is Jailton Almeida wins, and I'm going to go with him winning by submission in round 2. I can't say I'm too confident in that specific prediction. I do definitely favor Almeida, but I'll go with him winning by submission. He's a fucking monster, one of the best top game monsters in the sport. And I think when he gets top position, he can close a show like few others can. I don't know if he's got, I doubt he's got the physicality of Tom Aspinall, who was the last guy to go through Volkov with a submission. But I still think Almeida is that strong technically on top where he can find a way. But if I'm wrong, I still favor Almeida to win a decision. I just think it'll be more hanging on Volkov, kind of like Curtis Blades did when they fought to a 5-round decision years ago. But yeah, I think Jailton Almeida is going to be obviously looking to shoot in on those hips. I think he will get in on him. And to whatever extent he needs to, I think he'll be controlling Alexander Volkov. And if he can really control him, I think he'll get the finish. Volkov, I think his primary path to victory is knockout. Almeida's been knocked out twice, most recently against Curtis Blades, who just pounced on a little window where Curtis was tied up, like I just talked about. Like I just speculated on him doing the Volkov. Curtis Blades was tied up. He had the physicality to stop Almeida from going through him on the ground, but he couldn't shake him off. He couldn't shake him loose. And then when he had that one little window where Almeida shot in and left his head exposed in round two, Curtis went for it. Travis Brown elbows and hammer fists and just pounced on a moment to pound his head. Volkov certainly has the height and the reach to make that shit happen, and I would hope that's plan A for him, is to burst with violent aggression whenever he has a window at that head, because he's a gigantic fucking man, and I think that's the way to beat Almeida. Although Volkov is still 8 feet tall, he can definitely win on the feet. Jailton Almeida, he's got athleticism on the feet, but I think that's it. It's a small window. He's got a big punch and a big kick, and then it's right into a takedown. I think if that takedown is stuffed, Volkov chews him up. I think Almeida is reduced to a grappler who looks really uncomfortable, and I think he gets beaten down. But I'm not going with that. I'm going with Almeida tying up Volkov for the whole fight, if not 7 minutes or 5 minutes, and getting a submission victory. Jailton is the pick. Right now, it's just the money line. He's a 2-1 favorite. I play Jailton Almeida. I wish the odds were a little tighter, but I do like Jailton here. Again, I pick him to win the first decision and certainly the first finish. So Jailton by submission is the pick. Next up, we have Umar Nurmagomedov versus Mario Batista. In the first case of I'm picking this guy, but I'm betting on this guy. There's got to be other of those cases on the card, but this is the first time I'm saying it with the hands and the gimmick. I'm going with Umar Nurmagomedov. I'm going to take him winning by decision. It seems like the most reasonable outcome to me. But when you bring the odds into it, Mario Batista, whose money line is sitting at 4-1, I am obligated to bet on him. Obligated to bet on Mario Batista. Of course, the money line is juicy enough and that covers everything, but of course, I'll even wait for other shit when the props drop. I think Mario Batista can give Umar a really tough fight. A really tough fight. I think he can win a decision in addition to finishing him. Maybe not by submission. But Mario can definitely be the anti-grappler. But I still have to favor Umar. Umar was bested by Merab, and even that fight was razor thin. He was outlasted. That's definitely the story of the loss, even though he still generally fared well and better than most. But I think Umar is still the better point fighter here. He's the better grappler, the more willing wrestler. And of course, on the feet, he can handle himself very well. He's probably got better, more danger than anybody's going to give him credit for. And he's also a really good point fighter himself. He's a guy who's mastered kicking range. Maybe not mastered, but he's definitely really most comfortable there at kicking range. And I think that can present trouble for Mario Batista. I think Mario Batista would rather have Umar in his face. And Umar, he'll give him that in moments, but not every moment. That's what makes Umar such a difficult puzzle to solve. Mario Batista, he has been beaten twice. Corey Sandhagen got him with an armbar. Corey. And Trevin Jones, underrated journeyman with some huge moments. Got one of those huge moments there, knocking out Mario Batista. Mario got a little lackadaisical, and Trevin caught him with a big shot. Caught him cold and got him out of there. But that's it. Mario Batista, he's never lost by decision, like I'm picking him to lose here. He's definitely an effective point fighter, 7-0 in decisions. And again, I think he's going to provide a lot of difficult tests for Umar Nurmagomedov. I think I favor Umar because, again, he's got so many great skills every which way. And, of course, if somebody's going to be the bully wrestler, which can just solve any fight, it's going to be Umar. And if someone's getting the first submission, it's going to be Umar as well. But I think this fight's going to largely be contested on the feet, and Mario Batista is going to be giving him trouble. So Umar is the pick. He is not the bet. Mario Batista is the bet, and I hope I'm wrong about this fight. And in the co-main event of the evening, we have Jandidroba taking on Mackenzie Dern for the vacant strawweight title. My prediction for this fight is Mackenzie Dern wins, and I'm going to go with her winning by decision. And the basis for the prediction is I do believe we're going to get a grappling heavy fight. I think it's eventually going to settle into a grappling heavy fight. I don't know what plan A is for either girl. But once plan A fails and it's grappling, I just give Mackenzie Dern the advantage. I thought she won their first fight. These girls fought 5, 6 years ago, back in 2020, which I guess would make it 5 years ago, even less. But Mackenzie won a decision. It was a really close fight, and Mackenzie just outpositioned her in the end and got the better of her with jiu-jitsu. And I think that's what's going to happen here. I think if anybody's getting the sub, it is Mackenzie Dern, even though Jandidroba is awesome. But I certainly give Mackenzie the advantage there. But I'm not picking her to win by sub, even with 5 rounds with which to work. I'm still taking her winning by decision. On the feet, I think Mackenzie's a little technically sharper. Vierna's got some good single strike attacks. But honestly, that might be the better way to go here. It's not like this is a battle between two strikers. You know, it's all a means to an end with these girls. And I think it's just going to be a really interesting fight. I want to see who's looking to do what on the feet and who has the advantage there, frankly. But regardless, I don't think it's going to be a big part of this fight. Somebody's totally going to get knocked out now, like a Jasmine Jasdavicius. But no, I think this is going to settle into a grappling match. I think Vierna's got better takedowns, but I think Mackenzie Dern is the better grappler. She's also got good takedowns herself. So yeah, after revisiting their first fight and of course seeing everything since, I know Vierna's beaten some fighters that Mackenzie's lost to, you know, the head-to-head matchups and whatever. But I think this one is a stylistical favored match for Mackenzie Dern. I think it's a grappling match, and I don't think Mackenzie's going to be running into big trouble at all on the feet like she has certainly with Jessica Andrade, the one girl to get her out of there, and with Amanda Lemos. Although in most spots, Mackenzie Dern is tough as all living fuck. But in addition to tough, she's also hot, and that's ultimately why I'm picking her, because she's hot. No offense, Vierna. But yeah, she's hot. She's also got jiu-jitsu. I think it's an advantage over anybody in the world, in the sport of MMA, not in the world. And I think it's going to give her a victory. Submission wouldn't surprise me. She's Mackenzie Dern. She got Amanda Hebosh out of there in her last fight in their rematch. But here I think it's a rematch that's similar to the first fight, and it's one on positioning and grappling and sweeps and shit like that. And I favor Mackenzie Dern. I've bet on Mackenzie Dern. She's another one of those tight. It's another one of those tight matchups. She is minus 155. It's widening a little bit, but it's still pretty much a toss-up. And I favor Mackenzie Dern here. And in the main event of the evening, we have Cyril Gane challenging Tom Aspinall for his heavyweight championship. My prediction for this fight is Cyril Gane wins, and I'm going to go with him winning by round 3 TKO. And the basis for the prediction is that I'm a fucking idiot. You already know this. I prove it every week. I'm a fucking idiot. There's no reason to trust me. I don't even trust myself. But I'm going with Cyril Gane, and I'm going with him because I think physically and athletically, he's a problem that very few heavyweights can match. I mean, Tom Aspinall might have him beat in both departments there. He's an athletic, physical fucking monster. But I still think Cyril Gane can negate a lot of that like very few can. I don't think it's going to be easy to just bear hug Cyril Gane. It's not like he's going to get guillotined in 20 seconds, right? Oh, yeah, that happened when he beat John Jones, and I'm the jerk-off who picked him to beat John Jones. And I guess part of this whole prediction here is I'm hoping he can rectify that as some sort of cathartic moment for myself. But no, I do think Cyril Gane is a big problem for Tom Aspinall. I know Cyril Gane had a really tough fight with Alexander Volkov in their rematch, where, yeah, I thought he lost, but I still think Cyril Gane is the much more trustworthy fighter down the stretch. And by down the stretch, I mean at like the 8 minute mark, let alone the 20 fuck minute mark. Cyril Gane's been there and done that. Tom Aspinall has not. He's been in round two a few times, once against Arlovsky, after Arlovsky gave him a tough first round, neutralizing him, being the 40-year-old Arlovsky. Tom Aspinall just bowled him into the cage and took him down and scooped up his neck and choked him in 10 seconds. That was a great look, that happening in round two. And it was really sudden, and it also seems like something that could happen against Cyril Gane here. But that's the only time he's won in round two or after round one. His other time in round two, aside from this disqualification, was where he lost to a middleweight named Stuart Austin. That was a fight where Tom Aspinall, he looked good in round two. He nearly got a TKO. He was pounding the guy out. It was actually like to the point where it was like a late stoppage, I thought, and he won the fight. But he didn't win the fight. The fight wasn't stopped. He ended up getting his leg laced and he got heel hooked. Now, even though we've seen heel hooks from Cyril Gane, I don't expect that. I think that was some sort of middleweight fucking matchup combined with inexperience and rare submissions and all the other horse shit. But I still think Cyril Gane is the more trustworthy guy down the stretch. Tom Aspinall hasn't been in a competitive fight. He's been in very few competitive fights, and whatever few there are, they haven't lasted more than a round. He's dominated and finished everybody. And here, even though Cyril Gane's been rocked, he's never been knocked out. And also, he's very quick and strong. And I think he's going to be a difficult guy for Aspinall to time and knock out in the first place. And even though Cyril Gane has been tapped out, and he's been beaten on the ground and beaten with control, arguably by Volkov and Francis Ngannou, even though he made some really shitty tactical moves in that fight. That was a very winnable fight for Gane. But despite all that, I still think Cyril Gane is going to be too physically difficult for Tom Aspinall to bulldoze. I mean, Tom Aspinall went through Alexander Volkov. I rewatched that fight, and that was fucking great. And Volkov, as I talked about with Jailton Almeida, he could be really difficult to move around. He had Curtis Blades hanging on him for 25 minutes. And Tom Aspinall did go through him. But I still think Cyril Gane is going to be that brick wall that Aspinall can't go through on the ground. And on the feet, even though Aspinall is more athletic, perhaps, and stronger and quicker, and punch for punch more dangerous, I would certainly give him that far and away in this matchup. I still think he's going to run into a lot of trouble on the feet with Cyril Gane. Cyril Gane is a really effective neutralizing fighter, really good with the small moments and the oblique kicks and the fucking, he moves around so well for a heavyweight. But also, he's just the more seasoned guy. He's a guy that's been 5 rounds. He's been 3 rounds in victory and defeat. And he's been fighting at a high level for a while. And if you were to tell me to pick one guy to beat Tom Aspinall, to send one guy in there in the whole heavyweight division, I'd pick Cyril Gane. And that's what I'm doing. I got Cyril Gane winning. I'm going with a round 3 TKO because I'm just envisioning a really tough fight for Tom Aspinall and some sort of collapse. But having not seen Aspinall lose legitimately more than once, and having never seen him at heavyweight lose, there's no telling exactly what it's going to look like when he faces adversity. And by the way, even though I am betting on Cyril Gane, I'm really going for him here. I would love to see, part of me would love to see Tom Aspinall answer these questions, rise to the occasion, and battle his way back after facing some adversity and win a fight like a fucking champ. I want him to be that. But come Saturday night, I'm just going to want my bets to cash, really. So Cyril Gane is the pick. Round 3 TKO specifically. And damn right he is my bet. And I'll look for the props to see where else I can waste my fucking money. Like, share, subscribe, all that horse shit. And check out my other videos, where I often don't end them as enthusiastically.